Welcome to Dodgers Dogs as part of the Dodgers Daily Network as we set you up for the National League Championship Series. It's the Dodgers and the Mets. It is the hottest team in baseball against what we all hope is what we've thought all year, the best team in baseball. The hottest team in baseball being the Mets. The best team in baseball, hopefully, being the Dodgers. Coach Holt, as we bring you in. Going to be a lot of fun getting started here in a couple hours.
Yes, it is. I mean, we've just been through that great series against a great ball club, and the Dodgers are definitely battle tested. Call it what you will. I mean, they're definitely ready to go. As you mentioned, the Mets are the hottest team in baseball right now, and they've got some great players. Imagine that, having a higher payroll than the Dodgers. They actually do that, but they're hot right now. They're confident. This isn't going to be an easy task either, just like what the Dodgers went through. But you know what? If it's worth it, it's going to be tough, Case. We say it all the time. You hear that constantly. That's the nature of this deal right here. So it's exciting. It's time to go. It's a National League Championship Series. Winner goes the World Series, and wouldn't have it any other way, man. Starts in L.A.
So last series, the NLDS, was a 5-game series. This is 7-game. That's a totally different set of circumstances. In a 5-game scenario, you're throwing out your best pitchers, everything that you have the best available. So you're seeing what's best available for the other team at all times. 7-game series is going to test your depth a little bit more. So we saw where Yamamoto didn't go very long the first time out, and Flaherty, he gave up the 5 runs. So anyways, I say that to say if the Dodgers are going to win 4 out of the 7 games here, I think they're going to have to get more out of their starting pitching. I don't think what I called it smoke and mirrors. I think what they did a little bit in that 5-game series against the Padres was smoke and mirrors, and in a longer extended series with 7 games of the Mets, I don't think they can win with those types of smoke and mirrors. They have to have more other starters.
I don't think there's any doubt about it, Case. They've got to get more out of them. A 7-game series compared to a 5-game series like we used to compare. We used to have in American Legion back in the old days, we played 9 innings in the playoffs, as you well know. Most of the games are 7 innings during the regular season. There's so much, and Gary Ward taught me this a long time ago, there's so much difference in just those 2 innings, and the way you approach everything, the way things happen. Same thing here in the series. I think you hit it right on the head. The starting pitching has got to, we know we're on the short end as far as if you look at the starting pitching, we may be on the short end of that because of injuries, a lot of the situations right there. But you got to feel good about Yamamoto and Buehler's last 2 starts. Their last start. This is the next pitch sport. Let's just worry about their last start. Both of them, yes. I thought were good on the last start. Well, Buehler gave up 6 runs. Yes, he did, but we had 2 ground balls we didn't get a freaking out on. So there's a lot of things that led into that 6-run inning. Then you extend the inning, you got to face Tatis. Is what it is. The Dodgers recovered from that. But anyway, I agree with you. We're going to have to get more out of those starting pitchers, and if they do, then you'll have to see something more of Landon Knack will probably be more of a part of this series at some point. He's probably going to have to be.
Yeah, and we also saw Alex Vesia. Unfortunately, him coming out the other night was more serious than what we had hoped for. Yeah. And then Miguel Rojas is not on the postseason roster, and I said this even last series, and we saw the Mets actually put 14 position players on the roster. I thought the Dodgers would do that last series and add Kevin Kiermaier. I know he dislocated the ring finger on his left hand, but I really thought they could pinch hit him, play him in some defensive positions whenever the Dodgers have the lead. So Kevin Kiermaier gets added, likely to be a pinch hitter, a late-game defensive substitution, and then also Brent Honeywell gets added to replace Alex Vesia. So what do you think about those moves?
I think, the pitching, I'm not as up to date on that as you probably are. Honeywell, I guess, he had some good moments when he came on late in the year. But Kiermaier, we talked about that during the last series. There were several spots that we wish we had Kiermaier on the lineup. Yes. So on the roster that we could use in there. So if he's healthy, he obviously is, they wouldn't put him on there and ready to go. I like the move. Actually, you got to do something when Vesia goes out. Those guys, I trust the Dodgers brass, the staff, everybody. They know what they're doing. To bring on who they're going to bring in replacing him. And the Mets are really right-handed. They're big right-handed. Their best players are right-handed, but I know they brought McNeil back, and he's a lefty, probably coming off the bench for him, but he's a quality hitter, and he's back on the roster.
Yeah, and the thing about Kiermaier is I think last series, whenever Chris Taylor, if you remember, he tried to bunt, he tried and he didn't pull back on that ball that was up and in, ended up swinging away in a double play situation. If he would have hit into a double play, which we've seen him do before, Ohtani would not have got to come up to the plate, and the Dodgers would not have scored that inning. I think that would have been a good situation where the Dodgers could have used Kiermaier. They brought in Andy Pages for late-game defense. Andy Pages, we trust Andy, but I would rather have Kevin Kiermaier as a defensive player in center field. So I think there were a couple of situations. So I do think Kiermaier is going to be a pinch runner, late-game defensive guy. I think also he's probably healthy enough to where if they're in a situation like I mentioned a minute ago where Chris Taylor, instead of Chris Taylor getting the bunt down, we saw Tommy Edman with the best play in baseball. I think Kevin Kiermaier, if he does get to hit or has to hit, I think he could at least lay down a bunt.
Well, and we know we're good with Freddie going tonight because he was able to get some rest, but you never know. That thing can flare up. We saw him the other night kind of just making a play and kind of hit the bag awkward and getting a base hit and kind of having to put the brakes on his round at first. So, that's a precarious. We know Freddie's is a true professional. He's a tough guy. He's going to go as long as he can, but you never know, that flares up again, then that changes your lineup again some. So I feel good about Kiermaier. Now, Pages is off the lineup. It's off the roster.
He may be in against a lefty because that would remove Lux, and then that would put him in against a lefty with Manea.
Right. But we got Kiermaier in there, and I think that's a good move, and there's a lot of places there that he could be used. So I like the moves they made. I mean, like I said, they know what they're doing. There's a reason why they brought Honeywell on. They feel like he's the guy in that spot.
Yep. I like that splitter that Honeywell has. That's a pretty good.
A lot of people don't like his turtleneck. Who gives a crap? It's short sleeve. I don't care if he's wearing a dickie. Guys aren't old enough to know what freaking dickies are. Those fake turtlenecks. I hope it's a dickie.
Maybe country enough, too, Coach.
And everybody. Only Terry Porter knows, and Ron Holt knows what I'm talking about. I'm talking about dickies. But anyway,
we went to my niece's wedding yesterday in Allen, Oklahoma, and the wedding was in the middle of the pasture, and the reception was in an old hog barn that had been cleaned out, and we had a generator to run all the lights with. And so I'm sure they all know who Dickies were.
Coach Barikoff and all the LA natives are like, what in the heck are these guys talking about? That makes no sense. These hillbillies from Oklahoma. Anyway.
Okay, so how hot have the Mets been? Last time the Dodgers saw them, they were 4 spots out of last place. They were 16 games behind the Phillies, who they just took out in the NLCS. So since June 1st, Coach, the Phillies they went 65-40 in the regular season. They went 5-2. They've gone 5-2 in the postseason. They have been 70-42. They have been the hottest team in baseball, even hotter than the Padres. And the Dodgers, the way that you take a team down like that is you have a great bullpen, you get good enough starting, you play good enough offense. The Dodgers they have already proven they can take down a hot team. They're going to have to do it again.
But the Dodgers, we know, who the Dodgers are. They're arguably the best team in baseball. They still got to prove it on the field, so it means nothing until something's proven. But as you just mentioned, we call the Padres the hottest team. I could argue the Tigers are the hottest team in baseball. The Guardians were able to take them out yesterday. This is that time of year, and in the Mets ball club, the Dodgers have what it takes to beat them. They're not going to face an offensive lineup like they saw with the Padres, but you are seeing some outstanding, some great Major League Baseball players over there. And the thing about it, Case, like last year, we could sit around and talk about the wild card. They knocked out a Milwaukee Brewers, a division champion, the Philadelphia Phillies, a division champion.
Right.
Just like we saw last year with the Rangers and the Diamondbacks. You don't count anything in the playoffs. Everybody knows this. I'm preaching to the choir. But, this is going to be a tough out for the Dodgers. They're going to have to really perform well. Alonso, a guy hardly ever hit a ball opposite field. What he hit 3? He's hit 3 opposite field home runs, and one of them in a big position.
Huge.
So that dude has ungodly power. And Lindor, next, maybe a MVP candidate. Ohtani's got it sewed up, but Lindor may be 2 or 3 on that list. So he's a great player. He's had a great year. So they're so hot. They think they're going to win. They expect to win every time they walk in the ballpark. And I love it as a baseball purist, but as a Dodger fan, I'm like, God dang, we got some work to do. I want to beat those guys' tails. The good thing is I don't have the animosity towards the Mets that I had the last series.
Did you see Lindor after he hit the grand slam? He just kind of I mean,
Yes.
he acted like he had been there before.
Yeah, he acted
I
like
mean,
he'd
it's
been there
like the
before.
anti-Padre thing,
Yes.
right?
Yeah, he'd been there before. The same way with Alonso. I mean, he wasn't going crazy. Yeah, they look over in the dugout and give a wave to their buddies and out the bullpen. That's what everybody does.
Excited,
He wasn't showing his rear end.
Like Shohei did on the home run that he hit.
Yes, very respectful to the other team, respectful to the game of baseball. I love watching teams play like the Mets. I just hope they get beat 4 games in the next 7.
Yeah, absolutely there. Hey, the last time the Mets were in the NLCS, I think we remember this. Of course, as you get older, the years run together, and you always say, oh, that was just a couple years ago. Nah, 9 years ago, man. Well, to me, it was a couple of years ago because I'm an old fart, as you put it the other day. 2015, you remember the David Murphy sequence where he was the best hitter in baseball for like a month and a half? You remember that?
Yes.
That was the last time they were in the NLCS.
Really? I did not know it had been that long. I noticed at the end of the game the other night, last time the Dodgers threw a shutout in an elimination game was 1988 against the Mets. I think me and Rex my brother were at my house at the time trying to keep from waking the baby up screaming. And, of course, the Dodgers won it all that year. But I do remember that game as well. In case you were just a baby, a junior in high school, I know that. So, but that's great stuff. And right there, I did not realize 2015, and they've had some dreary times during that.
They've spent some money too.
They spent some money, and it's been pretty dreary for them over there for the Mets fans and their team. But things are looking up for them right now, and they can smell it, they can feel it, and they're confident. And they should be. This is baseball. They should be exactly what they're feeling now. When the first pitch is thrown, they're thinking they're going to win the game. They don't care. They're at Dodger Stadium. And, one of the all-time great cathedrals of baseball, they could care less. They'd play us in a parking lot. We talked about this case when I coached you. When you play in the state tournament, state finals, I'll play it out on the gravel with shorts and T-shirts on. Who gives a crap? It's time to play, and that's the way the Mets are going into this. But I do like the fact the Dodgers are more of grinders than they were in the past. We've got some dirt daubers over there too. Just look at PK's interview after the game. He means what he says. That's the team attitude.
Shouldn't have used that term, that verbiage.
Probably not.
But what he meant was we don't pay attention to the noise.
Yeah,
that's what he meant.
All we know is we're bringing it every day, and we don't care about anything else. That's what I'm saying. Don't think for a minute the Dodgers don't have grinders too. They proved it in the regular season. They darn sure proved it in this last series. So don't question that.
Talk about firepower. The Dodgers definitely have it with Shohei Ohtani, Freddie Freeman, Mookie Betts, 3 Hall of Famers at the top. The bullpen has been simply fantastic, right? But when you talk about firepower, the Mets can stand up with anybody. Of course, you have Pete Alonso. But Francisco Lindor, I think it's either going to be probably him or Shohei Ohtani for the NL MVP, right? One or two there. And then also they have probably right now, I mean, like not overall, but right now as we speak, the best starting pitcher in baseball in Jose Quintana. So, and that doesn't even get to some of their other guys that we'll talk about here in a minute. So when you talk about firepower at the top of it, Lindor, Quintana, Alonso, they can stand up with anybody there.
Then they're going to get Timmy Trumpets cranked up in the ninth inning and bring Diaz in throwing 102.
Yeah.
So no, this is legit. This is legit stuff right here, and I love it. I'm getting juiced up because the competitive's coming out. There's nothing easy about this. There's nothing going to be easy about this, and it shouldn't be. But the Mets had the star power, like I said, starting pitching. Their closer's ungodly, and when you hear the trumpets blaring, you better get ready. You better be ready to hit, because the gas is coming, and but the whole team's going to bring it. Winker's having, the Winker kid, he's had some big hits for him, and and had a slam at home plate of his batting helmet. And this kid brings it too. Their whole team's going to bring it in. But you know what? Like I just said, the Dodgers are they don't have to prove anything to anybody. If they can grind it out, they can be tough, and they got to get down and dirty, be dirt daubers when they have to, because they've already proven it. In my opinion, the entire year, because they've had to battle, and definitely in the playoffs against the Padres.
And they will, because Kike Hernandez told you why. Right? Okay. Again, he used the wrong terminology, wrong place, wrong time, all of that, but it was the perfect message.
Have you got his T-shirts? Has he got that on there yet?
It's the perfect message in the terms of we don't care. We just go out and play, and we do our thing.
Absolutely.
And we just figure out a way to win. That's what he meant by that.
Absolutely.
So the Mets offense, you mentioned it's very good, Coach. Brandon Nimmo, he's been a thorn in the Dodgers' side in the past, but it does seem top-heavy. It seems like, at least in the playoffs, it's dropped off pretty heavy at the bottom of their lineup. So really the game and the Mets, they've scored a bunch of runs, but again, it's been like, a handful of players, not like it hasn't been spread out like the Padres can do. and they strike out a lot. So imagine the Padres offense, but with a lot more strikeouts and then a bottom of the lineup that's not as productive. So, and if you were just to put a generic game plan together, keep Brandon Nimmo off base. That's number one. Very obvious there. Don't let the big guns beat you, okay? Yeah. Lindor, Alonso, McNeil, whoever it may be, don't let the big guns beat you. And then once you get ahead in the count, got to get ahead in the count because the Mets will chase the strike zone. That'll allow Yamamoto to throw that splitter, the curveball in the dirt that, like we saw that the Yamamoto didn't throw the splitter against the Padres because they weren't going to chase it. Yeah. It was just going to be a ball. I think the Mets will if he gets ahead in the count. I think the Mets will chase the Jack Flaherty curveball if he gets ahead in the count. And when that happens, I could see the Dodgers starting pitchers not having to be quite as perfect and gathering a whole bunch more strikeouts. So, again, just to kind of sum that up, keep Nimmo off base. Don't let the big guns beat you. Get ahead in the count so then you can force the Mets to chase breaking balls out of the zone. I think that's the game plan.
No, I'm like you. You can't lighten up with this lineup, but you also don't have Xander Bogaerts hitting 8-hole for you. Right. What we just ran through, where 1 through 9 can hurt you. Yeah, their dudes perform, but 1 through 9 can hurt you. I'm the same way here. You can't let the big dogs beat you. In case of that's been everybody that's ever coached a game of baseball. If you're doing it the right way, when it comes down to a crucial situation, you can't let those guys beat you. You got to have a plan. If they hit it, you throw a great pitch, they hit it, you tip your cap and you move on. But you can't give them an opportunity to beat you. And the Dodgers have been great. Their analytics department, whatever, and the way they feel and the way they've coached and managed the entire year, I have no doubt that Dave and the staff will make the right choices. Hey, as we know in baseball, you can make the right choice and blow up in your damn face. So, that could happen too. So, he's proven to be a guy who's willing to make the tough decisions from front office, from having to get rid of guys all the way up to whatever you got to do. He's proven to make those tough decisions. And for the most part, the right decision. They're not all right. But he made the best decision he thought of at the time. That's all you ever want your manager to do, and he'll do that.
They're not all right, and more importantly, for us fans to understand and to live with, they certainly don't all work. I mean, no decision anybody ever makes, especially in a game as unpredictable as baseball.
Not in this game.
Not all decisions are going to work. We like the Monday morning quarterback about all of them, which that to me that's the fun. That's a really fun element of this, Coach. But I really liked in Dave Roberts' pregame conference, they asked him about Kodai Senga and the Mets, and he's like, guys, I'm not going to lie. I was so just locked in on beating the Padres, I did not even take time to look at the Mets. I don't know a whole lot about them. I'll spend some time here as soon as we hang up with this press conference. But to me, whenever he said that, I was like, that's a dude right there that was locked in, man. I love the fact that, it was just like in the moment, 100% Padres. He just admitted he really didn't know a whole lot about the Mets, right? I thought that was a great admission by Dave Roberts that he is in the moment for his guys.
I'd have been pissed off if he didn't know a lot about the Mets. That means he wasn't locked in.
That's my point.
He didn't have any choice. We always talk about you can't win a series without winning game one. Well, you can't play the Mets if you don't beat the Padres. So I totally believe him. I totally understand him. Dude, it took everything within the organization from top to bottom to beat a great Padres team. It's going to take everything here. So I don't, but they still use advanced scouts. I'm sure, Case, back in the old days, they still got advanced scouts. Videos everywhere, even in high school level. You can find a video on everybody. So at some point, they probably had a stack of papers, about the, whatever, folders, everything. He'll have every bit of information he needs up to the minute, to the last at bat for the last Met, the last game. So he'll have time. He might have had to stay up late last night and do some reading. He might have had to do some reading here today while we're talking. While I'm watching my Dallas Cowboys get smoked by the Lions, he's probably working on a game plan right now and getting ready. So I trust the guy. I know he's going to do great things.
No doubt. Hey, how good has the Mets offense been in the postseason? I'm going to look to my left so I don't cheat here. The Mets have the most amount of hits of any team in the postseason at 56. They have the second highest batting average, 241, which that's kind of sad. The 241 is the second highest batting average. I hope baseball transitions back around to thinking somewhere around 300 is actually good and not 241, right? Second most walks. That's a big one. The Dodgers cannot allow free bases on the Mets. That's obvious. They didn't do that with the Padres. with 28. They have the second highest on base percentage. Of course, when you walk and you gather base hits, you're going to have a high on base percentage. The Mets have had a 331 on base percentage in the postseason, but then they've also combined that by hitting some home runs, Coach. And so not only do they have the second highest on base percentage, they also have the second highest OPS at 715. But then again, they have the second most strikeouts. So it's like it's a really fascinating. Just whenever you chew on this Mets offense, yes, they get on base. Yes, they gather hits. Yes, they can hit some home runs. But then, yes, they strike out. So what that tells me is the ball has to be in the strike zone. You have to make quality pitches early to get strikes, like I said a minute ago. You got to get them in pitchers' counts to where then you can get them to chase the zone.
And you mentioned already, they're aggressive. Obviously, they're aggressive because, as you mentioned, two things: they're hitting and they're striking out. So the guys they're aggressive in the zone. So yes, you got to give yourself an opportunity to. You can't walk people. We know that. Like I said, their lineup is not only with the big stars they have, but they got other dudes that are playing well. You mentioned Winker and you mentioned Nemo. I mean, their lineup, they've got some guys. It's kind of top heavy, but it doesn't matter. Those guys have all done some damage in this time, and they just knocked off 2 division champions. So. Whatever they've been doing here, and the total last half the year, as you mentioned, their record since June or whatever the heck it was, how many games they won, whatever they've been doing, it has been working. So they got in the playoffs and in a wild card situation, had to go out the day after the season's over, play a stinking doubleheader, then turn around and go play. There's a lot to just keep on playing, but we're past all that. The old, hey, Dodgers sit out 5 days and they got beat. Didn't happen. They sit out 5 days and came back and showed unbelievable heart, guts, talent, whatever the heck you want to call it, resilience to come back and beat a great team. That's out the door now. Who cares about the 5 days off? Just looks good now that some guys got some rest.
Coach, we have just an incredible lobby. The best baseball fans on earth, I say it every time. The Dodgers Dawgs here are absolutely
smart too. Yep.
Yes, no doubt. They are very smart. And we have a comment here. The only thing you need to know about Kodai Senga, who's the starting pitcher for the Mets tonight, is that he's going to lose, right? We will get into Kodai Senga. He has had a injury-marred year, kind of the Mets version of Walker Buehler this year. We will get into some of the comments here in a minute, but I wanted to get into some of the information on the Mets, maybe some of their breakdown, some of the keys to beating them. So we mentioned that the Mets offense is a little bit top-heavy. Mark Vientos has been the Mets' best postseason hitter, 429, 2 home runs, OPS 1181. JD Martinez has been good in the postseason for the Mets, and before anybody says the Dodgers shouldn't have got rid of him, I think I like his replacement pretty good, right?
Yes.
It's Shohei Ohtani. So JD Martinez, 4 hits in the postseason, 3 RBIs, and he has a 286 average. No home runs, OPS 661, so it's all been base hits. It hasn't been like hitting home runs or anything, but he does have 3 RBIs. Brandon Nimmo, 269 average, OPS 772, on base percentage of 387. That's a big key to me. Keep that sucker off of base. They've averaged over 5 runs in the postseason. Pete Alonso has 3 home runs. He's hitting 273, OPS 1160. And so you talk about him, and then Francisco Lindor. He had obviously the huge grand slam. Only one. That's the only home run he has in the postseason. That kind of has given the mirage to us who haven't just totally followed the Mets that he's been the catalyst. He actually hasn't. Hitting just 259, OPS 863. So there's the top-heavy part of it. You mentioned McNeil. We don't know what we're going to get out of him. But then Harrison Bader, Starling Marte, Jose Iglesias, Tyrone Taylor, those guys have either hit around 200, but 2 of them have been substantially under 200. So I think it's a situation to where if you can just get through the top 5 of their lineup, there are some outs to be had and there's some innings to be squandered there by the Dodgers pitchers.
I totally agree. The names you just mentioned, I haven't seen all the Mets games, but the ones I've watched, those guys have had their moments. You know what I'm saying? They've made a lot of outs, but each of those guys you just mentioned, I can remember them getting a nice hit, a big hit in a situation. So they've had their moments, but under 200 doesn't mean you're having a lot of them. You're not having a whole lot of moments, but so they're dangerous because they're confident as a team, and those guys feel the same way as the guys hitting 400. They just hadn't produced like that. So there are a lot of chances to get some outs. The Dodgers haven't been a team, have been walking people. The pitch, the Dodgers. We all know what the Dodgers bullpen can do if we ever get there, but we got to get more out of our starting pitching and keep those guys off base, especially Nemo, as much as you can. But it's going to be a tough call. You look at the batting average outside the one hitting over 400. The batting average is nothing over the top, but that's what
right.
We know why. Everybody's throwing their dudes, man. I mean, you walk.
They've been clutch, Coach. They've scored in late innings.
That's what I'm saying.
We did that a lot.
They've had big hits, clutch hits. The Dodgers done the same thing. In case you played on a team, I'll just quick mention the won a state championship. We had about 260 as a team going to the playoffs. From the 7th to the 9th inning on, we won like 8 straight games in the 7th inning or later. That's how you do that sort of thing.
Yep.
This is 30 years ago in American Legion baseball, but it's the same thing. If you can perform late, clutch with different people, as you know, a lot of different people getting key hits, that's how you win, and that's how this team's playing right now.
But I think that is why the Dodgers are favored here, because if the Mets wait till the 7th or 8th inning to try to score, it's going to be up against Evan Phillips, it's going to be up against Michael Kopech, and it's going to be up against Blake Trinan.
Absolutely.
Good luck to that, big boys. Now, hey, it may happen. It's baseball.
Yep.
Francisco Lindor, Pete Alonso, they're great players. They may run into one. But, boy, it hadn't happened yet.
No.
And there's been some great hitters go up against that bullpen for the Dodgers.
Oh, yeah. 24 straight innings, and they faced several great hitters during that time. You know, and Jackson Merrill from the Padres, he gave all the credit in the world to the Dodgers. Profar didn't, but who cares? You know,
Neither did Machado.
I don't acknowledge those guys. Dude, you went 24 straight innings without giving up a run. So, yeah, there's some credit to be had. There's Major League Baseball. So, you know, the Dodgers have proven what they can do with that bullpen there. And they faced great hitters the entire time. You know, El Tatis is the hottest player hottest hitter in the world when the Dodgers faced him, and he hurt him a couple times, but he also hit into a double play, a key situation. And so the Dodgers were able to do that.
And made the last out. I enjoyed that.
And made the last out. I know that's your favorite play, but anyway.
Oh yeah.
And that sort of thing. So the Dodgers have the full capability of doing that, and the way we stand right now, coming off the series facing a great lineup, and it didn't just pitch well. I mean, Case, think about it, 24 straight innings without giving up a run. Yeah, we may give up 4 tonight first inning. I'll slap myself in the face for even mentioning it, but you know that doesn't just happen, especially against a great team. That can happen when you're facing. How many did the White Sox lose? 140, whatever it was. Yeah. I mean, that can happen. You face those guys. You know, you can go 24 straight. They'll get them, but not the San Diego Padres, the guys they got.
Dodgers are going to get a taste of their own medicine tonight. They're going to see Kodai Senga, and why do I say that's a taste of their own medicine? First of all, Kodai Senga, he was one of the top international free agent prospects a couple of years ago. The Mets, we said, have spent a lot of money. They spent a lot of money to get him. Very talented, but he only threw, I think, a couple of innings in the regular season. I think he's thrown like 5 innings all year, right? So this is a guy that has been marred by injury this year. You don't know what you're going to get out of him. So I think best case scenario for the Mets is that he makes it to the Dodgers lineup one time, which means that the Dodgers hitters are never going to see the same pitcher tonight more than once. We just saw how that formula worked against the Padres for the Dodgers. Having said that, every time that you add one more pitcher to a game, that's one more opportunity for a pitcher not to be on, and it just takes that one pitcher for the Dodgers to strike, put up a 4 or 5 spot, and win the game. But Kodai Senga, I think best case scenario, 3 innings, one time through the lineup for the Mets.
Yeah, that's probably what they're planning on. I mean, like you said, Kate, 5 innings the entire year, regular season. That's what he's had. 5 innings.
Yeah, something like that.
That's a big gamble. But
5.1 in the regular season, 2 in the postseason, so 7.1 total.
That's what I'm saying. That's a big gamble for the Mets, but it's probably, I don't know their situation. I'm assuming they're in the same situation Dave was in when he decided to do a bullpen game, an elimination game. It's not the best choice.
Yeah, this is a bullpen game for them. Make no mistake about it.
It's not the best choice, but it's the right choice. So we got to feel that's what they're doing. So the Dodgers need to do some damage early, and of course, I honestly can't tell you about their bullpen up to get to the closer. I know he's a stud. You know, if Timmy Trumpets is going, you're behind, we got a problem. But there's a long way to go before you get there, especially like you said, and we talked about that when the Dodgers pulled it off. When you throw that many different pitchers, always a chance one of those guys just isn't feeling real good today. Just doesn't have it. And it happens
doesn't handle
all the time.
The moment or something, yeah.
Yeah, and maybe, it's a big deal. Dodger Stadium, Shohei Ohtani's in front of you. Maybe he's already faced him, but this guy probably hadn't faced him, so good luck.
Yeah. I'm interested to see his fork ball. We haven't seen a fork ball in a long. In fact, there's only been a couple of guys that I can remember even threw forkballs. Of course, very similar to the split finger, but it's got a lot of deviation. The thing about Senga, he's about 95-ish, but both his sweeper and his forkball are like barely 80 miles an hour. So you're going to see 95, and then it's almost going to look like an eephus pitch, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, just the variations in speeds is going to make it very, very difficult for the Dodgers to try to time him up, especially when they only get to see him once. So if he does throw the ball in the strike zone and is able to get to his forkball, he does somehow have some offerings that could be difficult for the Dodgers.
Well, that's similar to what Darvish did. I mean, he threw some pitches in the low. He threw some pitches in the low 70. I mean, there's so much deviation in the speed of his pitches. That's what. Not only does he have great stuff, but he has so much deviation in the speed. The Dodgers are way out front of several times. So that's similar to that, except a different pitch. You know, with a forkball. So there's a lot of similarities to that, and we know how tough Darvish was on the Dodgers. Thankfully, he left a couple of fastballs right in the middle of inner half and got smoked, but that sort of thing. The rest of the stuff was dirty.
It was. Hey, Coach, let's get to some of the chat, and then we'll get into some of the rest of the starting staff and the bullpen for the Mets. But we kind of set up today's game a little bit of the generic Walmart version, if you will, of the scouting report and the game plan. But, man, what a great crowd we have logging in today. Thank you so much, boys in blue. Yeah, let's go Dodgers. Colossal Jaguar is ready to go. Thank you for joining. Ryan R., we need WBC Ohtani. Let's go. Yes, I think Shohei Ohtani, between him and Lindor, I don't know if they'll make that personal between the two. I think usually competitors, there is a certain element to where you go, you know what, that's the other dude that might beat me. I think there is some of that. Now, that won't get in the way of the team concept of things. But, yes, Ohtani needs to show up, no doubt.
Yeah, we need him big time. Like I said, we was talking about the Mets. Their dudes are performing in key situations. We saw with the Padres and the Dodgers. Had some of that, but they had more of the other guys performing. I mean, Tio comes with some big home run. The Hernandez brothers hitting the home runs the other night, or not brothers, but the Hernandez boys hitting home runs the other day.
The law firm.
The law firm.
The home run firm. There you go.
The home run firm. HR firm. Hernandez.
The HR firm. There you go.
Yeah. So we've seen some of that too. But, the deeper you get into this thing, those cats got to do it. I don't even want to go back. It's like the Dodgers, and we gave up 4 straight to Reggie Jackson. So, he's the straw that stirs the drink, whatever the heck you want to call him. That dude showed up as a reason why he's called Mr. October. Mm-hmm. Yeah, he'd rub you the dadgum wrong way, but Charlie Huff, he gave up on about 450 to center in the old Yankee Stadium. So I watched that baby. So but that's historically the way it should be.
Yeah.
I mean, when you win, your big dude's got to show. And Shohei had his moments in the last series, but they handled him pretty good. Especially Darvish really handled him pretty well, and probably knew more about him because he had some history with him, good or bad, whatever. I don't know. Doesn't matter, but. He's got to perform. You hope Freddie's getting hits. Even on a bad wheel. And Mookie showed life towards the end of the series and was outstanding late. So you feel good about your dudes, your studs going in there. And Will's had some good swings. So you got to feel good about that. But they've got to perform. We can't rely on the bottom of the lineup to start driving runs in. They're table setters, and they continue to do that. We got a good shot.
Playing in the Mets home field, I believe it's still Citibank Field. They've changed names so often.
Field, I think it's what it is.
Yeah, whatever the name of it is. Playing there is not Yankee Stadium. So, I mean, there is a difference there, but it is in New York. It's still a New York fan. So, is this 210 foilish? But if the Dodgers are able to take down the Mets, is there any advantage to already having gotten accustomed to the New York environment whenever they play the Yankees, if they play the Yankees?
Yeah, that's not Yankee Stadium, but you still got New Yorkers in there.
Yes, man.
And we all love them. I got some friends from up there, and believe me, they're going to hear things coming out of the stands they've probably they've never heard since the last time they were in New York. So, and it's just the way it is. I mean, I think it's going to help them because it's not Yankee Stadium, but it's going to be packed to the gills with the rabid Mets fans.
It's different, man. It's different.
It's going to be totally different. But they have won World Series in their history. It's been a long while, but they have done it, and they're not totally inept.
1986, baby.
That's a long time. Yeah, and I don't even want to go to Bill Buckner. I'm going to punch somebody in the face. They started telling me how bad Bill Buckner is.
That was Game 6, though. They still had another game they had to win. That's what people don't understand.
The Bartman deal's Game 6.
Yeah,
I don't want to get started on all that crap. Dude, you still had a chance to win the World Series.
Yeah, they did.
Blame it on,
they still had Game 7.
Blame it on one dude. Yes, you still got Game 7. It's your fault. You can't, whatever. We go on forever about that one. But same thing, So it's it's still New York City. It ain't the, of course, the old Yankee Stadium isn't the old Yankee Stadium. It's a new Yankee Stadium. So it's, even though it is, and the fans are nuts, you're going to have some rabid New York Mets fans too. So
yeah, no doubt.
That's the way it ought to be. It's the way it ought to be. And Dodger Stadium looks like, just from TV, it looks like it's a lot more rowdy than it has been in the past, and that's the way it should be too.
Let's hope. Jonathan Voitko, I'm sure you are driving to the game right now. We're all so jealous. Jonathan Voitko is going to be at the game tonight, Coach. How about that? That'll be exciting, right?
Jonathan, I envy you, man. Envy you big
No
time.
doubt.
Yell loud. I know you will.
Ela Shiva, right back at you. Go Dodgers. No doubt about that. Craig Osterberg, one of the greatest Dodgers dogs out there. He is in the house tonight. So is Daniel Berry, Sports Highlight. Kneel before Zod. Instant respect for me because Superman 2, I say it every year, Coach. I watch all the Rockies. I watch all the Star Wars. I watch all the Back to the Futures and all the Superman series every year. And easily Superman 2, kneel before Zod. That is easily the best Superman movie of all time, right?
I'm in with you on all those. But I'll throw all the Godfathers in there on top of that.
Yeah,
I'm with you on all those, and the Godfathers, I'm with you too.
There you go. Hey, and I like the way Kneel before Zod 21 is thinking tonight. Ohtani is going to homer tonight. Daniel Berry, Sports Highlight, Dodgers 2024 champs. Coach, I love the optimism. That's the thing about Dodgers Dogs as part of the Dodgers Daily Network. We believe in our boys, even if our back's against the wall. Kind of like Kike Hernandez said, we just got to keep believing in them. We keep trying to have positive thoughts, and to me, that makes it a much better experience.
Is that how he actually said it? I'm trying to think.
No, that's not how he said it.
No, even when Case, I go back to when we were down 2-1. And me and you're here talking. I know you talked to Coach Bearcoff and all of our other guys on the network that are great Dodgers and love the Dodgers and talk about it. But, we finished up our talk going, our dreams and goals are still in front of us.
They are.
We're down 2-1. We're playing on the road. A lot of people were throwing dirt on us. And don't get me wrong. I said
we have the receipt with our show.
Yeah,
we all said, hey, who's to say the bullpen game won't be better than a starter, right?
Because I've done it. I've done it in high school.
Absolutely.
I throw a different guy every inning. Nobody, and you throw a two-hitter and you go, hey,
it can
idiot,
work.
Do it every game. But anyway, you don't do it every game. But, we weren't so much, you call it negativity. I guess we call it kind of what it is. We're on this day where I think we're always going to be real. We're always going to go out what we feel, what we think.
I always like to dwell on what could happen for us to win instead of what might happen to make us lose.
Yeah,
I think that's a better way to look at it.
I totally agree. If something goes bad, we'll say, well, that didn't go very well. We're not going to sit there and sugarcoat anything and say everything's great because it isn't, especially not in this game. So, no, it's great. It's great. It's great to have this opportunity. But a lot of people are ready to give up on it 2-1. And I know Muncy got all ticked off about that in some of his post-game comments.
Good for him.
Yeah, and said, hey, 80-some% of you,
good for him.
Waters didn't think we could do it.
Yeah.
No, we all knew you could do it. You're still the best team in baseball.
Yeah.
They hadn't done it to that point, but I don't know. A whole lot of people didn't think they could do it. I mean, we're not shocked if they come back and won. I'm kind of shocked the way they did it. 24 straight shutout innings.
It was amazing.
But I'm not shocked.
I would have thought the offense would have had to have carried it. They would have had to won like 8-7, something like that.
And that's what
I would have had to have happened.
That's what we've been saying all year. At some point, our lineup's going to have to win. Even when we're the starting pitching, we still got the best lineup in baseball, blah, blah, blah. And it comes down to the pitching. So you got to feel good about it. The Dodgers can do either one. If the lineup gets hot, watch out. Nobody's going to beat it.
I loved what the emotions of Max Muncy, the intensity of the way of which he said, basically is saying, hey, you guys doubted us. Take that right. My next advice for Max Muncy, please start hitting the ball.
Yeah.
That would be the next thing I would say to him, right?
I'm with him. I love Max. You do too. I mean,
I love his intensity, but I need him to start hitting the ball, Coach.
I love that intensity. Yeah. Don't hit a home run when it's 10-1.
Yes, man. Come on, Max.
No,
he did get the big double right in front of the wheel home run, though. That was a big hit.
Yes, absolutely. He's one of us. He's one of our guys. I love that intensity. After the fact, he basically said the same thing Kike did, and he kind of used the same word. He just took it a little bit farther.
Well, his was in the locker room, and it wasn't like he paused right after he knew he was on live TV. No. Max's was different than Kike's.
No, and Kike had a smile on his face when he said it. He even checked.
Kike's was calculated on purpose.
Kike was kind of, we on live TV. Max is like UF and F. I mean, his was raw. I mean, I love it. It's like Bueller destroying a trash can and helmet over there. Bring it, babies. Let's go.
And if you've ever been in that situation, you're like, you totally relate. You're like, I get it, man. I get it.
Yep,
I totally
gotcha.
get it. You know,
I get it either way. I'm with him.
yeah, no doubt about it. Hey, so Shiva loves the defense of Kevin Kiermaier. We are all on that. He is a platinum glove center fielder, and he has an arm, Coach. That's
Yes,
another
great
thing I
arm.
think that's underrated about Kiermaier is that he may cut down a run or two with his arm.
He got a great arm, yes. Big time plus arm in the outfield. That's even more valuable probably. Like you said, late games, late innings, that cat can throw somebody out on any base.
It's amazing how many messages I got because I suggested they put Kiermaier on the NLDS roster as a 14th position player instead of like Enriquez or Ben Casperi, something like that, which goes against me because I'm a prospect guy, right?
Right.
And I got called a dumbass. I got like 100 different messages of what the hell are you talking about? He's retired, blah, blah. You can't. And then I got you can't have 14 guys. Well, okay, the Mets have 14 positions. Yes, you can. It's amazing how many messages I got about just mentioning that Kevin Kiermaier I thought should have been on the NLDS roster. But whatever, he is on the NLCS roster, so I'm excited about that.
Well, somebody in some of the higher ups that have a bigger paycheck than you and I get to work with the Dodgers felt the same way. So
yeah, they sure did.
Maybe you're not a dumbass because there's somebody that's getting paid six figures to make those decisions and made that same decision. So there you go.
Yeah. Of course, it was because Rojas, so it's not 14-12 like I was suggesting, but it is 13-13.
Yep.
But yeah, hey, Baseball Channel, thank you so much for joining. Yeah, our mod, sometimes, hey, these live shows, not everybody, especially on Sundays, it's hard to get everybody in at once, but man, what a great crowd we do have. Paul C., thank you so much for joining. Will Smith's arm could also be in play, Coach. That's another big factor. That's something the Dodgers haven't been able to do in the past is throw runners out at all. Will Smith has done a great job of it this year. I think a lot of it is the way they're covering the bag. Yes, they're in front of the bag, but they're working back towards the bag and catching the ball in the back. So they're allowing their guy the guy who's catching the ball, whether it be the shortstop or second baseman, the ability to be the athlete in front of the bag. But then they're also getting the advantage of letting the ball travel by catching it deep.
Yep.
And it's really worked out perfect because I can't tell you how many, Will Smith's ball tails to first base. It always has. But whenever our defender's able to kind of come up the line just a touch, then let the ball get deep and then swipe the runner like on the back or like up by the knees, we've thrown, I can't tell you how many tags we've made like that. So that Will Smith arm is a big deal.
Yeah, and it's big, and the tail almost comes in good there because, like you said, the infielder's able to move up in front of the bag down the line. Sometimes it throws right on a guy's butt or his leg right there. Maybe he's getting ready to touch a bag, but he didn't touch a bag yet. It throws right on his butt. So the fact they're middle infielders, it's kind of changed. Back 100 years ago, case for all, put it right here. You get your infielders right there, right in front of the bag. He's got to come to the bag, get your glove in front of the bag. That's old school. Yeah. Sometimes it's still good, but it's changed a little bit. Those guys are a little bit more. They're able to make more moves out there. It's kind of like the infielders that bounce throws now. You would never told those guys unless your name was Dave Concepcion and you're playing on the turf in Cincinnati.
Yes.
He's the one that first started doing that. Deep in the hole and skipping it over. But you see it all the time now. And it's a good play. It's a good play.
It is. It is, Coach. Hey, this is we said that last series I thought was a legacy series for Dave Roberts. I don't think there's a very good chance that they would have moved on from him, even if the Dodgers did lose. But again, the Boo Birds would have been in force. Yep. Having said that, it felt like he got over a hump there. It felt like he just kind of swam to safety, if you will, because I don't think anybody's going to criticize. Nobody's going to like it if you lose this series, but it is what it is, right? So having said that, is there any chance that there's any kind of mental let up for Dave, knowing he just got over a big hump, maybe?
I don't think so.
That's way tinfoil out there, isn't it?
Yeah, I don't think so. Just because, as we talked before about him, people forget he's got the biggest stolen base in the history of the Boston Red Sox, and he's been as a player, he's been as a manager. I'll go back to what I've been saying for a long time, Case. At least the last 2 years. He should have been the manager year last year for losing his entire starting rotation and winning a division by 14. Yes, we lost the first round. I get it. That wasn't good. He took some heat. He should. He gets paid a lot of money to win games. He should.
He said that. It comes with the territory. I should take him at Stillwater High School and I lose games too. Yes. I don't get paid a lot of money, but the buck stops here. Okay, this year. Great. He made even a better job of managing the regular season. The same scenario with a lot of injuries up and down, not just pitchers, but a lot of injuries, a lot of different people, a lot of moving pieces. Had to battle right to the end of the season.
up to the last 4 or 5 days to win the division against a tough opponent. And then it goes unsaid what he did in this series against the Padres. This dude has proven to me. Have I ever questioned stuff that went on in the playoffs in the past?
Of course.
Heck yeah.
Of
Have
course.
I ever questioned and said, you know what?
And you might have been right.
My own wife challenges my decision sometime when I coach baseball. What the heck are you doing? So that goes with a job. If you're a baseball manager, coach, deal with it. You're going to get second guessed, and a lot of times they may be right. Just wear it and move on. It's a next pitch business. Get ready. This guy has proven himself. But in the last 2 years, definitely he's proven himself as one of the best managers in the major leagues. And I can't see him have much let up at all because. Yeah. As we said for the season ever start case, they're all in. There's no getting to the World Series and getting the games. Oh, we just got beat. There is none of that. You don't do what the Dodgers did in preseason at the trade deadline and the way they've approached this year. It's all in. It's win the World Series or bust. I still don't think if they don't do it, he doesn't deserve to be
Doesn't
fired.
mean everybody's fired. It just means it's not, you didn't reach your goals.
You didn't reach your goals. And you know what? Everybody in the NFL says the same thing.
Yeah.
Right. Winning a stinking Super Bowl or there's a crappy year. We said in high school football, only one team wins the last game. Same way in every sport in high school. There's one team wins the final game of the year. Get over it, man. You just go to work, try to do better, and get there next time. But, they're right in the middle of it. They got a chance. They're right in the middle of it. And it's not just a chance. The Dodgers are really good. They've got a great manager. We got great fans. We got great Dodger dogs.
Tough.
You know that.
They're finally mentally tough.
Yeah, and now they've got the grittiness and the mental toughness. I think that maybe we've lacked some of the past.
Yep. Hey, the baseball channel, I like the way you think. Guarantee the Dodgers win. DeRobo says, don't underestimate Senga and this team. Destiny is tough to overcome.
Yep.
Got to jump on them early. Paul C's says, I respect Lindor. Yeah, Lindor's a stud, man.
I agree.
Total stud.
Total agree. I totally agree that we don't have to go very far to see that. The Rangers and the Diamondbacks last year.
Yep.
Yeah, we don't have to go very far in the past history to see what a team that's hot, who believes they can't be beat, what they're capable of doing. It happens all the time in every sport.
It does. It does. Hey, don't forget Jeff O'Neill thinks the name. Yeah, we mentioned him just a minute ago as a wild card getting back in the lineup. Yep. You don't know exactly what you're going to get from him. No doubt history, man. Phillies would have been a lot tougher. So although the Dodgers avoided them, the Mets will give them a run for their money. Dodgers in 6. I like the way he's thinking. Cole, if the NLDS proves anything, it doesn't matter what you did the day before. This is a good Dodgers dogs, coach.
Yep.
They're the best, smartest fans on earth. Cole, if the NLDS proves anything, it doesn't matter what you did the day before. San Diego went cold right before they went hot. They got hot, then they got cold again from one day to the next. Trust the best team in baseball to prove otherwise.
I totally agree.
What a comment, right?
That's spot on. We talk about baseball's the next pitch business.
Yes.
I think I'm just going to say it now, I think there was a lot of celebration going on in San Diego when they went up 2-1. I think they probably had some champagne on. I don't know this for
last night.
No, they might have had some champagne.
Oh, you mean before the Dodgers beat them? Oh, yeah. Okay.
No, I mean when it's 2-1 in San Diego.
Oh, not now though.
Oh no, hell no, no, they lost. But I'm just saying 2-1. I think they may have thought it was over. I saw some of the signs in the stands and they were all ready for the celebration. They probably had champagne on ice. They'll never admit that, but probably had the old champagne ice stand up. I'm sure they probably did. But anyway, so now whatever it is. But so you can't ever take for granted what can happen. You start celebrating, go get your ass beat. That's what happened to the Padres.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Hey, History Man says, I'm nervous, but not as nervous as last series. Should be a fun one. That's kind of what I was talking about with Dave Roberts.
Yep.
It does feel like it's not as just uptight. It wouldn't be the Padres if you lost this time. It wouldn't be another flame out in the first round. So is that a good thing that everybody has been able to exhale and relax, or is that a bad thing?
I think it's a good thing because the exhale comes from, let's face it, the first 3 games of the Padres series were everybody's hair was on fire.
Yes.
I mean, it just was. They're scoring, we're scoring. They scored the first 3 games they was up 3-0. I think every game seemed like. His hair's on fire. The Dodgers come back. The Dodgers they're down 6-1. They make it 6-5, but nobody scores the last 6 innings. So early in the game, everybody's hair's on fire there. And from that point on, after the 3rd inning of Game 3, The only thing that was on fire was the Dodgers bullpen, and they were smoking it and putting out fires right and left against great hitters. So that's the biggest memory I've got of that type of stuff right there. But you just look. You don't have to look very far to see quality on display.
You're not going to see near as good of a bullpen either for the Mets as you saw. Of course, you're going to see the great closer, but they do not have as good of a bullpen as the Padres, which was a huge factor. Yep. I mean, the Dodgers got it within 6-5 in the last game they lost in Game 3, and it was the third freaking inning, and then they didn't score again because the Padres had a great bullpen. So, again, I think if you make it a bullpen game, that favors the Dodgers.
I totally agree. The Padres
but best laid plans. We all know best laid plans don't always work out, but you have to at least say that, right?
Yeah, the Padres are totally capable of throwing a bullpen game. They could have done the same thing with their quality bullpen. They chose not to, or whatever. They kind of had to when they got to one point, but they chose not to. But, yeah, the bullpen game, it is what it is. The Dodgers set a new standard for that one, to come out there. But the same way, like you said, Game 3, the Dodgers have one hit the last 6 innings off their pen, something like that. It wasn't very dadgum much. So those things can go either way. But it's like you said, we get in a bullpen game, the Mets. I like our chances.
Yep, no doubt. Again, this is going to be more of a bullpen game. So we have a comment from Norm saying that he thinks that Senga will chew up Teo with that stuff down the way. That's fine. It's only going to be once. I just can't see him going through the lineup more than one time with the injuries he's had this year. So Daniel Clark, I'm not taking the Mets lightly, but I like the Dodgers in 6. Let's go Dodgers. Colossal Jaguar says we need Ohtani to show up. No doubt about that. Let's go down to the bottom and work our way back up. Neil before Zod, Padres acting like the little brother. They definitely did that. Gregory, the wonderful moderator. Norm, that's because the Dodgers can't get to the playoffs with all their starting rotation together. That's why I need to not start at the bottom, because then sometimes you have responses there. Hey, Rumar Spencer, thank you so much for joining this evening. Let's get after the Mets. Noah Ortega, thank you so much for joining. Better late than never. Mets have met the beginning of their end. Let's hope that is absolutely the case there. Colossal Jaguar, the postseason is a crapshoot, and no doubt about it. But I'll tell you what, Coach, I've said this forever. We're going to go for about 5 more minutes. The one thing that takes unpredictability out of baseball is if you have pitching that can shut down the other team every time it goes out. There is a saying in baseball that pitching gives you courage, but pitching also eliminates the unpredictability of it, right, in terms of winning and losing, because if you don't let the other team score, doesn't matter what your offense does, all you have to do is score 1 run. And we literally saw that last game, last 24 innings.
And the history of playoff baseball in the big leagues, it comes down to pitching usually. I mean, you go back to Madison Bumgarner, a guy who used to piss us off a lot, but he brought it every time. And, he was a bell cow. And I can go on the list of pitchers. Kurt Schilling down through that showed up. Oral Hershiser, who showed up in the playoffs and made, just dominant when they had to be. So all those things, lead to, where are we at right here? You got a great pitching staff. The Dodgers are going to throw out the bullpen. That's just something. When you have people, like you said, Case, you said it gives you courage, but that's what wins at this time of year. No doubt. I always think, how about if you're playing in Philadelphia or New York when there's sleet and snow on the ground? I don't know what the weather's like in New York, but it's pretty dadgum hot. Even in L.A. it's hot. And as far as I know, it's not real cold in New York yet. So, but in the past, you'll have some snow flurries fall in some of these games in New York or Philly or Boston this time of year. So, but that doesn't matter right now. You're in sunny LA, get on top 2-0. At least you don't have to worry about it. But that's one of the main reasons why pitching is always number one when it comes down to it.
No doubt.
Hitters, it comes down to the series. It's always, it seems like the pitchers come out. You'll get a big poppy hitting a home run, sending it to New York again, that sort of thing. Those things, great players do that, but it boils down to pitching.
Why is it that kind of just the baseball purist in me wants to see the Dodgers play both the Mets and the Yankees?
Yeah, that'd be awesome. Yes.
I'll bet Dodgers fans are telling me to shut the hell up right now. But just the purist in me, hey, Barn, my Dodgers dogs are wanting to go on a walk, right? But just the purist in me is wanting to see the Mets and the Yankees both.
Yes.
Am I crazy?
No, you're not crazy. Again, we said it's going to be whoever you play is going to be good. So I mean, let's just go for it. Might as well knock off 2 Mets.
I just think the better teams bring out the best baseball of the Dodgers.
Would it not be awesome to have 7-game series and you see Ohtani and Aaron Judge on the same field? That's and then trust me, they're going. Either one of those teams going to win. It's going to be behind them, but it's what's going to be around them. But right now, we got to focus on the Mets. But I'll answer your question on the baseball purist. I agree with you. Right now, I'm worried about pitch one against the Mets, but what you said as far as baseball purists, yes, I'd love to see that.
Hey, Coach, we did not get into our analysis of the starting pitchers for the Mets. We will get into that probably in our pregame show tomorrow as we work our way into some more of these games. But it's Kodai Senga again tonight for the Mets. He has 7.1 innings on the year, only going to go 3 innings, only going to go one time through. So, sorry I didn't get to that, but we got to get off here. I've got an O-State Daily Live show. I'm doing with Coach Rainwater here in just a minute, so excited about that. I'm going to start doing that on Sunday nights. But, Coach, it's going to be a lot of fun. We're a little bit over an hour away, so final thoughts for you.
I'm just saying I'm looking forward to it. The Mets are red hot. The Dodgers are red hot because of what they just come off of. So two hot teams playing for the Big Apple, get a chance to go to the World Series, and that's what it's all about. I can't wait for it to happen. Tell Robbie Rainwater I said hello, man.
I will. I'll try to keep his temper under control, right?
No, that's not him. It wouldn't be him.
No,
let it go. Let him go.
Yeah, that's right. That's right, Coach.
Jim Traber loves you guys, so let him go.
Yeah, absolutely. Hey, Coach, this has been a lot of fun. This is going to be a great series. Can't wait for it to get started. It's great to see your face. I love you.
Love you too, man, and go Dodgers.